I don't have a papa. Can you be my daddy forever? Begged the little girl to the lonely CEO at. An emotional story by Heartfelt Tales. The sound of tiny footsteps echoing through the sterile hospital corridor at 2 a.m. should have been impossible. Yet there she was, a little girl no older than 5, her hospital gown trailing behind her like a ghost's dress, clutching a worn teddy bear as she wandered the empty halls. What happened next would shatter the heart of the most successful CEO in the city and change both their lives forever. If this story touches your heart, please take a moment to like and subscribe to Heartfelt Tales for more inspiring stories that remind us of the power of love and second chances. Alexander Cain had built his empire on cold calculations and ruthless decisions. At 35, he was worth billions, commanded respect from world leaders, and could buy anything his heart desired. Yet as he sat in the hospital's private waiting room at 2 in the morning, watching his dying father through the glass partition, he felt more alone than ever. His father, the only family he had left, lay unconscious, machines beeping rhythmically as they kept him alive. Alexander loosened his tie, exhaustion weighing heavy on his shoulders. 3 sleepless nights in the hospital had taken their toll, but he refused to leave his father's side. As CEO of Cain Industries, he was used to solving problems with money and power, but some things couldn't be bought: time, forgiveness, and the words he'd never said to the man who raised him alone after his mother abandoned them when he was 7. That's when he heard it, the soft patter of bare feet on linoleum. Alexander looked up to see a small figure in a hospital gown wandering down the corridor, completely alone. The little girl had tangled brown hair that fell past her shoulders and was clutching a teddy bear that had seen better days. She moved with the quiet determination of someone much older, peering into each room as if searching for something precious she'd lost. "Hey there," Alexander called softly, stepping into the hallway. "Are you looking for someone?" The little girl turned toward him, and Alexander's breath caught. Her eyes were the deepest brown he'd ever seen, filled with a sadness that no child should carry. She studied his face carefully, as if trying to decide whether he could be trusted. "I'm looking for my mama," she whispered, her voice barely audible. "The nurses said she's sleeping, but I can't find her room. They all look the same." Alexander knelt down to her level, his heart already beginning to crack. "What's your mama's name? Maybe I can help you find her." "Sarah Chen. Room 304. The little girl hugged her teddy bear tighter. "I woke up and she wasn't in my room anymore. I got scared." Alexander knew room 304. He'd passed it countless times during his vigil. It was in the terminal ward, where families said their final goodbyes. His throat tightened as he realized this child was about to face the same devastating loss that had defined his own childhood. "What's your name, sweetheart?" he asked gently. "Emma." She looked up at him with those impossibly deep eyes. "What's yours?" "I'm Alexander." "And you know what, Emma? I think I can help you find your mama. But first, how about we get you some warm socks? Your feet must be cold on this floor." Emma nodded, allowing Alexander to lift her into his arms. She was lighter than he expected, and as she settled against his shoulder, he caught the scent of hospital soap and something indefinably sweet that belonged only to children. For the first time in decades, Alexander felt something shift inside his chest, a protective instinct he didn't know he possessed. As they walked toward the nurse's station, Emma began to talk. Her words tumbled out in the way of lonely children who'd found someone willing to listen. She told him about her mama, who worked 2 jobs to take care of her. About how they lived in a small apartment where they had movie nights every Friday, making popcorn and watching cartoons together. About how her mama sang her to sleep every night with songs she made up just for Emma. "Mama got sick a few weeks ago," Emma continued, her small hand absently playing with Alexander's tie. "She kept coughing and coughing. The doctors said she needs to stay here for a while to get better. But I think..." Her voice dropped to a whisper, "I think she's not getting better. I think she's getting more sick." Alexander's jaw clenched as they reached the nurse's station. The night nurse, a kind woman named Janet, looked up with surprise. "Emma. We've been looking everywhere for you. You can't just wander around the hospital, sweetheart." "I was trying to find my mama," Emma said, not moving from Alexander's arms. "This is Alexander. He's helping me." Janet's expression softened as she recognized Alexander. Everyone in the hospital knew about the Kane family's generous donations over the years. "Mr. Kane, thank you for finding her. Emma's been having trouble sleeping since her mother was moved to intensive care yesterday." The words hit Alexander like a physical blow. Intensive care meant Sarah Chen was dying, probably tonight. And this little girl, this brave, beautiful child, was about to become an orphan just as he had been. What about Emma's father? Alexander heard himself ask. Janet's expression grew grim. "There's no father listed on any of the paperwork. From what we understand, Emma's mother has been raising her alone. There are no other family members we can contact. If..." She paused, choosing her words carefully. "If the worst happens, Emma will likely go into the foster care system." Foster care. Alexander's blood ran cold. He'd heard the stories, seen the statistics. So many children lost in an overburdened system, bounced from home to home, never finding the love and stability they deserved. The thought of Emma, with her gentle spirit and trusting eyes, facing that uncertain future made something fierce and protective rise up in his chest. "Can I see my mama now?" Emma asked, her voice small and hopeful. Alexander looked at Janet, who nodded sadly. "Room 304 is just down the hall, Emma. But you need to be very quiet, okay? Your mama needs her rest." As they walked toward the room, Alexander felt Emma's grip on his shoulder tighten. Through the glass window, they could see Sarah Chen lying motionless in the hospital bed, connected to machines and IVs. Even unconscious, Alexander could see where Emma got her delicate features and determined chin. "She looks like she's sleeping," Emma whispered. "But not like normal sleeping. Mama always smiles a little when she sleeps at home." Alexander had to clear his throat before he could speak. Sometimes when people are very sick, they sleep deeper than usual. It helps their body try to heal. They sat in the chairs beside Sarah's bed, Emma curled up in Alexander's lap as she talked to her unconscious mother. She told her about meeting Alexander, about the nice nurses, about how she was being brave just like Mama had taught her. Alexander found himself stroking her hair absently, marveling at how natural it felt to comfort this child he'd met less than an hour ago. As dawn approached, Sarah's breathing became more labored. The machines began beeping more frequently, and nurses came and went with increasingly worried expressions. Alexander knew what was coming, and his heart broke for the little girl in his arms who was about to lose everything. At exactly 6:47 a.m., as the first rays of sunlight filtered through the hospital window, Sarah Chen took her last breath. Emma, who had been dozing against Alexander's chest, seemed to sense the change immediately. She sat up, looked at her mother's still face, and then turned to Alexander with tears streaming down her cheeks. "She's gone, isn't she?" Emma whispered. "My mama went to heaven." Alexander nodded, his own eyes burning with unshed tears. "I'm so sorry, Emma. Your mama loved you very much." Emma sobbed then, deep, heartbroken cries that seemed to come from the very center of her being. Alexander held her close, rocking her gently as she grieved for the woman who had been her whole world. In that moment, something fundamental shifted inside him. This wasn't just about helping a lost child anymore. This was about love, the kind of deep, unconditional love he'd been searching for his entire adult life without even realizing it. Hours passed in a blur of paperwork, phone calls, and difficult conversations. Alexander used his influence to ensure Sarah Chen received a proper burial, despite having no savings. He spoke with social workers about Emma's future, his jaw growing tighter with each mention of temporary placements and foster care evaluations. That evening, as Emma sat in the hospital's family room coloring pictures with crayons a kind nurse had found, Alexander made a decision that would have seemed impossible just 24 hours earlier. "Emma," he said, sitting down beside her at the small table. "I need to ask you something very important." Emma looked up from her drawing, a picture of two stick figures holding hands under a rainbow. One was very tall, one was very small. "What is it, Alexander? You know how your mama went to heaven and can't take care of you anymore?" Emma nodded solemnly. "Well, the people here want to find you a new family to live with. But the thing is..." Alexander took a deep breath, hardly believing the words that were about to come out of his mouth. "I was wondering if maybe you'd want to come live with me. If you'd want me to be your new daddy." Emma's eyes widened, and for a moment, Alexander's heart stopped. What if she said no? What if the idea of living with a virtual stranger terrified her? But then Emma's face broke into the first real smile he'd seen from her since they met. She scrambled off her chair and threw her arms around his neck with such force that he nearly toppled backward. "Really?" she whispered against his ear. "You want to be my daddy forever?" "Forever and always," Alexander promised, his voice thick with emotion. "If that's what you want." Emma pulled back to look at him, her small hands framing his face. "I don't have a papa," she said, echoing the words that would haunt and heal Alexander's heart for years to come. "Can you be my daddy forever?" "Yes," Alexander whispered, tears finally spilling down his cheeks. "I can be your daddy forever." The adoption process wasn't easy. Alexander had to navigate mountains of paperwork, home studies, and evaluations. His lifestyle had to be completely restructured to accommodate a 5-year-old girl who needed stability, routine, and above all, love. He converted his sterile penthouse into a warm family home, complete with a princess-themed bedroom and a playroom filled with toys and books. But the most profound changes weren't to his living space, they were to his heart. Alexander discovered that love wasn't something that could be earned or negotiated. It simply was. Emma's unconditional trust and affection taught him what it meant to put someone else's needs before his own, to find joy in the simple moments, and to understand that true success wasn't measured in dollars but in the depth of human connection. 6 months after that fateful night in the hospital, Alexander Kane stood in a courtroom as a judge officially declared him Emma's father. Emma, wearing a new dress and clutching her faithful teddy bear, beamed with happiness as she was finally, legally, part of a real family again. "Do you have anything you'd like to say, Mr. Kane?" the judge asked. Alexander looked down at Emma, who was holding his hand and practically bouncing with excitement. "Your Honor, I came to that hospital 6 months ago thinking I was about to lose the only family I had left. Instead, I found the family I never knew I needed. Emma didn't just ask me to be her daddy, she taught me how to be one. She saved me just as much as I saved her." As they left the courthouse that day, Emma tugged on Alexander's hand. "Daddy," she said, using the title that still made his heart skip a beat every time he heard it. "Yes, Princess. Thank you for finding me in the hospital that night. Thank you for becoming my daddy forever." Alexander knelt down and pulled her into a hug, breathing in the sweet scent of her shampoo and marveling at how completely she had transformed his life. "Thank you for teaching me what love really means, Emma. Thank you for showing me that the best things in life aren't bought, they're found in the most unexpected places by the most extraordinary little girls." Today, 3 years later, Alexander Kane is still the CEO of Kane Industries, but his priorities have completely shifted. He leaves the office every day at 5 p.m. sharp for family dinner. He's learned to braid hair, to kiss scraped knees better, and to read bedtime stories with all the proper character voices. His penthouse is filled with laughter, artwork stuck to the refrigerator with magnets, and the chaos that comes with raising an 8-year-old girl who has boundless energy and an unshakable belief that her daddy can fix anything. Emma thrives in her new life. She's in advanced classes at school, takes piano lessons, and has more friends than Alexander can keep track of. But most importantly, she's happy. The sadness that once filled her eyes has been replaced with the joy and confidence that comes from knowing she is loved unconditionally. Sometimes, when Alexander tucks Emma into bed at night, she'll look up at him and say, "I love you, Daddy. Forever and always." And he'll remember that night in the hospital when a lost little girl wandered into his life and changed everything. He'll remember how love found them both in the darkest of moments and transformed their pain into purpose. The Cain Foundation, established in Sarah Chen's memory, now provides support for single parents facing medical crises, ensuring that children like Emma never have to face such challenges alone. Alexander and Emma visit the children's ward at the hospital every month, bringing toys, books, and hope to families who need it most. Because sometimes, when you think you're saving someone else, you discover they were actually saving you. And sometimes, the most unexpected encounters in the most unlikely places lead to the most extraordinary love stories of all. This story reminds us that family isn't just about blood, it's about love, commitment, and the choice to show up for each other every single day. If this tale of unexpected love and second chances touched your heart, please show your support by hitting the like button, sharing this video with someone who needs to hear this message, and subscribing to Heartfelt Tales. Your engagement helps us continue bringing you stories that celebrate the power of human connection and the belief that love can be found in the most unexpected places. Don't forget to hit that notification bell so you never miss our latest heartwarming tales, and please leave a comment below telling us about a time when someone unexpected became family to you. Thank you for being part of our Heartfelt Tales community, where every story reminds us that miracles happen when hearts are open to love.